I'm 105 years old. I raised 4 children, helped raise 11 nieces and nephews, and held my family together for 57 years. And I'm here to tell you that being strong almost killed me. You think strength means carrying everyone. You think saying no makes you selfish. I believed that too. Believed it so hard my heart gave out at 83 trying to prove it. The doctor who saved my life asked me one question, and I couldn't answer. She asked, "Who's taking care of you?" Let me tell you what that silence taught me. My name is Eula Mae Richardson. I'm 105 years old. At this age, I've buried 3 siblings, 2 husbands, and 1 version of myself. That last one was the hardest, because the version of me that died wasn't taken by disease or old age. I had to kill her myself, and my family watched me do it, and some of them never forgave me. I was the eldest of 7 children. When Mama passed in 1951, I was 26 years old with a husband, 2 babies of my own, and suddenly 5 younger siblings looking at me like I had all the answers. I didn't have answers. I had duty. And for the next 57 years, I carried it. I was the one who never said no, the one who held everything together, the one who showed up when others fell apart. Everybody leaned on Eula. Eula's got strong shoulders. Eula can handle it, and I believed them. I almost died being strong, and I had to hurt the people I love most to stay alive. That's what I want to tell you about today. Not because I want pity, but because some of you are doing what I did, and your body is keeping score, even if you don't feel it yet. I remember a night in 1976. I was standing at my ironing board at 11 o'clock, pressing my nephew Terrence's church clothes. My own children were asleep. Walter was in the bedroom, and I could hear him sighing through the wall. He'd been sighing a lot that year. The iron was heavy in my hand. The smell of starch filled the kitchen, and I was tired in a way that sleep doesn't fix. Walter came out in his robe, leaned against the door frame, and just watched me for a while. Then he said something I didn't understand for another 26 years. "Eula, you give everybody a place at your table except yourself. One day that table's gonna collapse." I looked at him like he was speaking another language. "Delphine couldn't get to it," I said. "Boy needs something clean for Sunday." Walter shook his head. "It's always something, Eula. It's always somebody. When's it gonna be you?" I told him he didn't understand. Family is family. You don't say no to blood. That's what I believed. Strength meant absorbing everyone's needs. Rest was for people who didn't have others depending on them, and people depended on me. That's what the next 3 decades looked like. Hospital shifts followed by watching my sister's kids. Money I didn't have sent to cousins who needed it more. Emotional labor that never stopped. Holding space for everyone's crises, while I swallowed my own grief like it was medicine I had to take. Walter passed in 1987, heart attack in his sleep, and even at his funeral, I was the one making sure everyone else was okay, comforting his mother, organizing the repast, making sure Delphine had a ride home. I didn't cry until 3 weeks later, alone in my bathroom, running the water so my children wouldn't hear. That's what strong looked like. That's what it cost. August 2002. I was 83 years old. I was at Delphine's house helping prepare for the family reunion. The one I'd organized, the one I'd been organizing every year since Mama passed. 51 years of reunions, 51 years of potato salad, folding chairs, making sure everybody's feelings were managed. I was in the kitchen when my chest started tightening. Felt like someone had wrapped a belt around my ribs and was pulling. I couldn't catch my breath right. But there was still the macaroni to finish, still the tables to set up outside. Folks were arriving in 2 hours. I told myself I just needed to sit down for a minute. Then I'd get back to it. I don't remember falling. I remember Delphine screaming my name. Then I remember waking up in Grady Memorial Hospital with my daughter Lorraine's face floating above me, tears running down her cheeks. "Mama," she said, "Mama, you scared us." The doctor who saved my life was a young black woman named Yvonne Carter. Couldn't have been more than 40. She came into my room with my chart, sat down in the chair next to my bed, and looked at me with eyes that saw too much. "Mrs. Richardson," she said, "your heart is telling us a story, and it's not a happy one. She explained it in medical terms first, something about cortisol and chronic stress and cardiovascular damage. Then she stopped herself and said it plain. Your body has been keeping score, Mrs. Richardson, and it's tired of losing. She told me that decades of running on stress had aged my heart faster than my years, that the way I'd been living wasn't just tiring me, it was killing me. The weathering, she called it, like erosion, like a cliff face losing itself to the sea, one wave at a time. Then she asked me a question that broke something open. Who's taking care of you? I opened my mouth to answer, and nothing came out. The silence in that room was the loudest thing I'd ever heard. That night, lying in that hospital bed with machines beeping beside me, Walter's words from 26 years earlier finally landed. One day, that table's gonna collapse. The table had collapsed, and I was underneath it. Recovery meant learning a new word. No, you'd think it would be easy. 2 letters, 1 syllable. But for a woman who'd spent her whole life saying yes, it felt like learning a foreign language at 83 years old. The first boundary I set was with Delphine. I called her 2 months after I got home from the hospital and told her I couldn't host the reunion next year. I needed to rest. Doctor's orders. The silence on that phone was heavy. Then Delphine said words that had controlled me my entire life. You selfish. After everything this family did for you. Selfish. That word, the one I'd spent 60 years making sure nobody could ever call me, the one I'd ironed clothes at midnight to avoid, the one I'd emptied my savings account to escape, the one I'd swallowed my own grief to never hear. And there it was. Delphine threw it at me like a weapon, and it hit exactly where she aimed. I cried for 2 days. Almost picked up the phone to tell her I'd changed my mind. Almost went back to being the Eula everyone needed. The strong one, the reliable one, the one who never put herself first. But I kept hearing Dr. Carter's voice. Your body has been keeping score. And I kept seeing Walter in that doorway. When's it gonna be you? So I let Delphine be angry. And I learned something I wish I'd known at 32 instead of 83. The strong black woman isn't a compliment. It's a job description. One I never applied for, but couldn't seem to quit. One that would have worked me to death if my heart hadn't finally screamed loud enough for me to hear. The cost of changing was real. 2 years of tension with Delphine, cousins who stopped calling, some family members who never forgave me for having limits. The loneliness of being seen as a traitor for choosing myself. But also, my blood pressure came down. My doctor's visits became celebrations instead of interventions. I started sleeping through the night for the first time since 1951. I started writing in what I call my truth book, letters to myself that nobody else would ever read, learning who Eula was when she wasn't carrying everybody else's weight. 5 years after that phone call, Delphine showed up at my door. She didn't apologize. Delphine never apologized for anything in her life, but she stood there on my porch and looked at me for a long moment. You look good, Eula, she said. You look rested. That was enough. I watch my granddaughter Imani now. She's 32 years old, smart, beautiful, heart bigger than her body can hold, and she's doing what I did. I see it in the phone calls she always answers at midnight, the money she sends to her cousins when she barely has enough for herself, the tiredness in her eyes that she covers with a smile, the way she says, I'm fine when anybody asks how she's doing. She's being strong. Everybody tells her how strong she is. Now I'm looking at you, and I wonder if you recognized yourself in my story, if you're the one everybody calls when things fall apart, if you're the one who holds it together so others don't have to, if you've made yourself so available to everyone else that you've disappeared from your own life. I see you, and I'm asking you, at what cost? I didn't stop loving my family. Lord knows I love them still. I just started including myself in the people I loved. That's all it was. I added one more person to the list of folks I took care of, and that person was me. I'm 105 years old. I've had 22 years since I learned to rest. 22 years of saying no when I needed to. 22 years of being called selfish by some and being alive for others. My heart is still beating, not because I stopped caring, but because I started caring about the right person too. You have time I didn't have. You can learn at 32 what I learned at 83. You don't have to almost die to give yourself permission to live. This Sunday morning, I'll be in my kitchen sliding a sweet potato pie into the oven. Same recipe I've been making for 71 years. But these days, I'm not making it for a reunion I organized. I'm not making it because somebody needed me to. I'm making it because I want to, because I finally have a place at my own table. If this reaches the woman who needs it, share it with her. And if you are that woman, rest, baby. You've earned it.